I got to tell you, when I saw this interview is coming up, I was so excited because, as you know, I'm excited about theme parks. My sister and I are headed to Cedar Point this year. I just went to Disney. It's
Excellent
like
choices.
I'm a guy trying hard to keep up and I'm not worthy. You are way ahead of me, my friend, which is why this year I want to start with theme park food because of the fact that most people think, yeah, for people not watching the video of this, Robert just gave us a what? And I know that, people that are brand new to theme parks or went when they were kids, just remember dropping by the hot dog stand, but there truly can be some pretty delicious food at theme parks around the country.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Parks have figured out that this is all part of the show. Obviously, the accounting people knew that they were making bank on this stuff for years. But at one point, the creative people realized, hey, this is part of the way that we can bring people into all of this. I mean, if you're going to go visit the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, you're going to want to go eat just like the characters did in Harry Potter. You're going to want to have a butterbeer to drink. If you go to Star Wars, you want to see what the heck do they eat in a galaxy far, far away. If you're going to all of these different food festivals that parks are doing all over the place now, they realize you can extend the season into what used to be the off season by featuring cuisine from around the world. So all parks have really gotten into the idea of food as entertainment at this point, and it's paid off big for them.
I got to say, people make fun of people like me. So I saw a group making fun of Disney adults. And I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I like better than going to a food festival at Epcot because it's just so fun. I don't care about the rides. It's a really fun way to spend an afternoon drinking your way around.
Yeah, it's a whole new way to drink your way around Epcot. I mean, you've got the traditional restaurants that have been there since the park opened in 1982. But now with all of these stands, it's like exponentially more drinks that you could do. I don't know that anyone's actually ever made it all the way around drinking at all the stands on Epcot. I don't think our livers as human beings are designed for that. I certainly know that our wallets as human beings are probably not designed for that either. But this is how they get you to come back for multiple visits because they know you can't do it all in just one. You got to buy more tickets.
You mentioned expensive. Is there ever a way to score a discount on any of the food at any of these places that are in these top restaurants, or is it just more maximizing the experience?
Yeah, it's really more about maximizing the experience. These aren't places that do daily specials. It's like the chef today is featuring so and such, or there's no like Groupon that you're going to be getting for theme park food. Now, there are daily food passes that some places will sell you so that you buy. Basically, it's a pass for food for the day. And if you do it right, you can find value in that. If you're ordering the right things, the right quantity. If you don't do it right, you just buy the pass and then you forget that you had it.
No.
You walk out of there with a big loss. And well, it's a big win for the company because you didn't take full advantage of it. And that really varies park by park, what the specific deals are. And they'll change up these deals over the course of a summer as well. So you really have to do some advanced research and see exactly what it is that you're paying for. Because you might think, oh, okay, I pay $50. That doesn't necessarily mean you can go into any restaurant in the park and get anything you want. There might be specific restaurants, specific times. You can order, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can order something else. So you can't just keep going back and forth again. Rules against sharing, all of that stuff. It's all in the details. But if you do it right, that can be a great way to find some value on your theme park visits this summer.
Well, I'll tell you the way that I like to find value with these things when I've tried it in the past has been, I didn't find that much in terms of discounts that I could get. But what I did find, Robert, was that I could prepay for this stuff. And you and I in past years have talked about, listen, this is an expensive day, no matter where you go. So do a little bit of homework. Make sure that you know what you're doing so your family has a good time while they're at the park. And man, if I can prepay for my food and just, make that a few paychecks ahead, then that makes the day, at least today, a little bit less out of my wallet right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all about Disney's done this with their dining plan. That's kind of probably the most famous one in the entire industry, where again, it's you've basically turned Disney into an all-inclusive resort at that point with the way that you've structured the payment for the vacation. And if you do it with the right credit card that you're getting points off of, then you can maybe turn that into another vacation someplace else later down the road. But there are a lot of different tricks that those of us who have been into travel hacking for quite some time know how to play to maybe you don't necessarily, like you say, find that bottom line right now discount 20% off or something, but you find a way to pay for it, to finance it, to structure it in a way that you can get a lot more value for it than you would have been if you'd just come in as a cash buyer.
Yeah, make it much more budget friendly. I just read on USA Today, came out the day before we record this, Robert. It says, don't miss the top-notch food at these 10 theme park restaurants. For people that haven't heard you before, our Stacker Nation, you and I are about to go around the nation talking about some of these fun places and what's new at these places. And I thought this year, with food as our backdrop, maybe we can attack this list as well and see what you think. First thing, Disney's Epcot, you mentioned, really known for food. There's lots of great restaurants. And of course, they have some of those festivals you're talking about. Number 10 on their list is a place called Cellier Steakhouse at Epcot.
That has been a fan favorite for a long time. It is in the Canada Pavilion there. I'm not the type of person that goes to Disney and I'm thinking steak dinner. There are very few times of the year where I want something that big, where I'm about to go out into that park and do all that amount of, walking out in the summer heat out there. I'm thinking probably I would go for something a little bit lighter than, the filet mignon and the mashed potatoes. But there are a lot of people who really want that experience. So Le Cellier has been a fan favorite there for decades.
What would you say at the Disney parks is your favorite restaurant?
Oh, wow. Favorite Disney parks restaurant. That one's going to be tough. If I've got a huge windfall or somebody else is paying for it, Monsieur Paul at the France Pavilion at Epcot is an amazing dining experience. It's a fixed price thing. It's upstairs from the French restaurant that you see on the street there, run by the same family as the family of the late Paul Bocuse, who was a legendary French chef. And if you want that amazing fine dining French experience, that's something that you're not going to find anywhere else in a theme park, but that particular location. If I'm coming back down to earth, though, at Epcot, I really like the Via Napoli pizza restaurant. I've always had good success there. Obviously, you're going with the pizza there, but they've got some fun Italian sodas. They've got some fun appetizers. Always been a nice experience there. They've got a sister restaurant in downtown Disney at Anaheim. That's a little closer to me personally, called Napoli. And I just love the way that they do pizzas there. So that's another favorite of mine. At Disneyland, though, I'm just going to go with an old classic. I love the Plaza Inn. I love the fried chicken at the Plaza Inn. I usually split it with someone because it's a lot of food, but that's always been a favorite of mine. And it's been there since, I think, almost the park opened. So it's been a favorite from a lot of other people as well.
I think that's if you start getting into food. I love the idea of splitting too, Robert, because even if you're not trying to save money, you can sample a lot of these cool things we're talking about.
Absolutely. And a lot of time the portion sizes are such that, like I said, I mean, you're out there in the park all day. It's hot. You're working. It's kind of nice to eat a lot of little things rather than one big meal that's going to make you want to go take a nap. And hey, time is money in these parks. And if you're not feeling like doing something, maybe that's not the best experience to have.
While we're in Orlando, let's just go ahead and tackle the big boys. Disney and Universal. Which part of town is the fun at in the town this year, Robert? If you're going to one.
Oh, it is. It's a fist fight like it always is in Orlando. June's going to be a big month for new things at the theme parks in Orlando. Universal Orlando has announced officially that their new DreamWorks land is opening at Universal Studios Florida. It's kind of a redo of that old Woody Woodpecker kids area, but they've turned it over to their top DreamWorks franchises. It's going to be Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek. A lot of great stuff that they're putting into there and a lot of great character experiences that they're putting in. So they're really going in with the kids. And of course, we're all waiting for next year and the opening of the massive Epic Universe theme park that's going to have just Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Harry Potter, Universal Classic Monsters. I think that's going to be a huge hit for Universal next year. But this year, they've got DreamWorks for fans that are looking for something to do in Orlando this summer. And Disney hasn't given us an official date yet, but coming up relatively soon, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the Princess and the Frog retheme of Splash Mountain, is opening up this summer at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. I have gotten a sneak peek at the animatronics that are going into that.
Cool.
They are amazing. It is just like getting up close, seeing the characters from that wonderful Disney animation film come to life. So I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with this. It's a lot of jazz music, a lot of just New Orleans flavor in the entire thing. And there might be the smell of beignets piped into the queue. It's just a rumor. I can't confirm it, but make sure you're going in with clear nostrils.
Every year you say that this is one of the top regional theme parks in the country. Number 9 on their list is Trapper Smokehouse at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia, a park I know that you and I both love.
Absolutely. If you're looking for the best of the non-Disney Universal parks, because you're like, okay, these guys are great. They lead the industry, top 9 parks in the country by far, but it's like somebody else is doing good work, right? Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, that's a park you need to look at. Dollywood, Silver Dollar City. There are a lot of really great theme parks out there. And Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, it's like if Epcot were like matched with a thrill park, because you've got the wonderful roller coasters that they've got there, but you've got the European countries all represented as well. So you can do the things like go over to Trapper Smokehouse and get that kind of that smoked barbecue meal. They've got a lot of food festivals that they do as well.
Do you like that pick, by the way? Europe. Do you like Trapper Smokehouse as a pick for this top 10 list?
I mean, that's a good pick. I can respect that pick. I don't know that I would have it on my top 10 list, but then again, my top 10 list is probably going to change every single day because I get so fickle about this stuff. So there are definitely days of the month in which I would have Trapper Smokehouse on there. But there's probably 50 that could make a good argument to be on this list. And again, a lot of times it's how you catch them on a particular day. There's some variance in quality always, but it's always been a solid choice for me. I'll put it that way.
Busch Gardens, you've said in the past, Robert, just quality parks, whether it's the one in Florida or the one in Williamsburg. I don't know if they have other ones. But number 8 on this list is Zambia Smokehouse at Busch Gardens. Somebody like Smokehouses apparently in Tampa. But let's take that. Number 1, do you like the Zambia Smokehouse? But also number 2 is anything going on at these Busch Gardens parks this year that's new and fun?
Yeah, I mean, basically, those two are like sister. It's just one's in Williamsburg, one's in Tampa. That's basically the difference between the two. So you're getting essentially the same thing at both. Both of the parks this year are coming out with roller coasters. Williamsburg is actually refurbing one of my all-time favorite roller coasters, Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, that is a nationwide classic.
Please, I hope that they keep that ride open forever, and they are doing the work to do that, which I am so pleased by. It's a classic era double looping coaster with those iconic interlocking loops. It was the first upside down roller coaster I ever went on, so it's a special place in my heart for that. And they've given it a lot of love this year with some retracking renovations on it, so it'll be good for another 10, 20 years, and I'm so happy to see them doing that work on it. And in Tampa, they've got a new coaster called Phoenix Rising, which is a family coaster. So that kind of broadens the appeal. I mean, I know they had that the wonderful coaster that they put in a couple of years ago that set all the records, and it's nice that they're doing something that's for the beginning coaster themed. So Phoenix Rising, I don't know that they have an official opening date on that yet, but they're getting close on it.
Cedar Fair, because of course there's the merger with Six Flags. Six Flags parks are never ones, Robert, that you and I spend a lot of time on. And maybe that's my own bias. I'm not really a fan. I always kind of feel like it's a money grab versus some of the other places I go. Is this merger going to bring Cedar Fair, which I've got a lot of respect for, down? Or is it going to bring Six Flags up, which is, I think, what every theme park enthusiast is hoping for?
Yeah, and the fact that it's going to be Cedar Fair CEO is going to be running the new combined company, which is going to be called Six Flags, because outside of the business community, nobody knows what Cedar Fair is. Everybody knows what Six Flags is. They've got brand equity. But what they need to do is to improve that brand equity, because it's not been associated with the top quality theme parks that they were once. I mean, I remember as a kid, Six Flags was better than Disney. That's where you wanted to go.
Fun.
Disney was just kind of boring. Six Flags had all the exciting rides. So I think that there is equity in that brand name that they can realize again, and it's going to be the Cedar Fair team that's going to be in charge trying to make that happen. Now the detail is this is going to be a huge chain. I mean, we're talking about 30 some parks in it. Are they going to like sell off any of these parks? Are they going to, what's going to happen here? Because just managing something that big is going to be a real challenge. And then what are the economies of scale? What are the improvements that we might be able to see? It's still a very capital intensive business. That's not going to change with a combined company running these as opposed to two different places there. So there's lots of opportunities, but I think we're all just waiting to see how this shakes out. They're expecting the deal to close within the next month or two. They're saying first half of the year, end of Q2. But obviously, that's way too late to make any changes for this season. Operationally, everything's just basically locked in. So it's going to be a really interesting off season this winter as we see how Cedar Fair and Six Flags get together for 2025.
I noticed that when my sister and I were purchasing tickets to go to Cedar Point, that because we pre-purchased, we got a huge discount on our day ticket. I mean, we grabbed them early and we got a monster discount. I think I paid $48 for a day, which I thought was just a fantastic deal. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Is that true for the whole Cedar Fair system? If we look at like Kings Island, Carowinds, Knott's Berry Farm?
It really just depends on how things are going. Obviously, earlier in the season is the time to book because you've got the opportunity there. But then again, later in the season, if they've got bad weather or something and they need to goose that attendance, they'll start dropping stuff later. But if you want to lock in a good price now, if you see it, go for it, get it. And also, if you're thinking about visiting multiple parks multiple times, look at those annual pass options. Particularly look at annual passes that will get you into multiple parks in the chain. That's the thing everyone's really excited about in the Six Flags Cedar Fair deal is if they come out with an annual pass product that gets you into all of those parks.
Road trip.
I'm in Southern California. People want a pass that gets me into Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags Magic Mountain. And if I go across the country to Six Flags Great Adventure and Cedar Point and Carowinds and Six Flags Over Texas, I'm going to be roller coaster road tripping all year long with that pass. Absolutely. So a lot of people are looking forward to see what kind of ticket products we get out of this deal.
Well, we mentioned another beloved park that's close to you there, Knott's Berry Farm. And you mentioned the Monster Park. I mean, Magic Mountain's just so huge. What a big park. Any excitement on the West Coast we should be focused in on right now?
West Coast excitement. I mean, again, going with the kids this year, Knott's Berry Farm is redoing their Camp Snoopy. This was kind of the original kids land when you think about it. Debuted back in the 1980s. They've gone in there and changed things up every once in a while, and it's time again. So they're giving it a big refresh and a relaunch for Camp Snoopy coming at the beginning of end of May, beginning of June this year. So we've got that to look forward to for Knott's Berry Farms fans this year. Six Flags they're not building up a big new coaster this year, but there's some stuff in the works. So we will see how that comes out. Also, somebody who's getting into the coaster game big that we haven't had in this market before is Universal Studios Hollywood. They're working on a Fast and Furious roller coaster. They just announced it's going to be 2026 before they get it done. But this is going to be, it's an intimate coaster. It's got spinning cars on it that are going to be decorated to look like iconic cars from the Fast and Furious franchise. And the whole thing, it's called Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. The idea is these cars are going to be drifting on the roller coaster track for a really unique experience. They're building it on the side of the hill at Universal Studios Hollywood. So you're going to have a view over the San Fernando Valley of all the movie studios in the area, not just Universal. You can see Warner Brothers and Disney from there as well. So it's going to be an amazing tribute to kind of Southern California car street culture that really, I think, gets to the heart of what those Fast and Furious movies were all about.
That's so cool. And by the way, while you're talking about cars, I have to mention, when you were here a year ago, we, at the end of that discussion, had a discussion about you heading over to the Middle East. Speaking of cars, you rode the Ferrari coaster. I think the fastest, is that the fastest roller coaster on Earth?
Currently the fastest roller coaster in the world, Formula Rossa at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi, which is just, I absolutely love that park. I'm a big IndyCar F1 fan. So love open wheel racing, love the Ferraris, love it. Just you walk into that park, they just have Ferraris as decoration just all over the place, which is
as you do.
Are you kidding me? But amazing roller coasters, because if you're talking about, Formula One, you're talking about speed. And of course, you're going to have that be, it's like a 0 to 149 mile an hour launch. Outside, they actually make you wear goggles because there's just no other way. And if there's a famous video that they had of the Ferrari F1 drivers on there who always come out every year before the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix in December, and they've always got a picture of them. These are like these super fit guys, because you have to be to Formula One, but they do a reverse point of view, so you could just see their faces melting back as like that 149 mile an hour launch hits them and it just pins them back. That's just a great resort there. They just had opened up a new SeaWorld park there. It's indoor park, which I think is the template for what a SeaWorld park ought to be. It's really it really gets into a lot of kind of the education that they aspire to do, but with a lot of really unique technology. They've got a great attraction there called Hypersphere 360, where you go inside this 360-degree theater, and everything is projection mapped on the interior surfaces of this big ball that you're inside. And it makes it feel like you are just going through the bottom of the ocean, exploring all of these different ecosystems in the ocean in a way that I've never seen before. And it's just top-notch creative work there.
SeaWorld was my kids' introduction to theme parks, and we had so much fun when they were really young. And heck, we would still go today. It's such a different experience than as an example, Cedar Point. I want to get back to this list for a second. Number 7 on the list is Satu'li Canteen at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I think we've talked about Disney enough. Number 6, back to Williamsburg with Das Festas. I never thought that the food at Das Festas was great. I just thought that the experience in there with the Pa band and all the fun going on, that's where that is.
I mean, if you're gonna eat a bratwurst, that's the experience to do it in. Not just out from a food cart someplace. Go in there with the band and the experience and all of that. And I think that helps elevate that ranking.
They might get you on stage. Number 5 on this list, though, is a park you and I have not talked about much. Another one from the Cedar Fair parks, but this one's in Virginia. Grain and Grill at King's Dominion. Let's talk about King's Dominion for a second and Grain and Grill. What do you think about that pick?
Okay. They've got some fans. They came out. They voted. That's good. That one's, I'm a blank on that one. I mean, now look, they do. Cedar Fair's got some great restaurants, and one of the ones
they're known for, though.
Technically, I mean, the one that got it really all started, obviously, is Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant in Knott's Berry Farm. But technically, that's outside of the park, so I don't know if that would qualify on the list. I haven't seen the list yet, so surprise me. But they've got some talented food service people there. So if they've got somebody who's really hit on a good menu and the good customer service, then great. Welcome to the list. Have fun. I'm going to have to try that one out myself because now I am curious.
King's Dominion, though, sounds like a nice day for a family.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly, it's just right up the road from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So you've got a great 1-2 combination there. So if you're doing that roller coaster road trip, and then Colonial Williamsburg is just a must visit, I think, for anyone who's interested in American history, as all Americans should be. So just you put together Colonial Williamsburg, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, King's Dominion on that trip as well. Just great time. You could spend a week there in Southern Virginia doing all of those.
I'm laughing, Robert, because I remember when I first went to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, my parents took us, and I think they took us to the theme park as a spoonful of sugar so that we would go to the Colonial part the next day, and hey, we'll take you on the thrill rides if you get some history. So a little something for everybody.
Absolutely.
Number 4 on this list, Yak and Yeti at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. Wow, that was out of the blue for me.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. That's one of the parks. It's actually one of the ones that's run by an outside vendor. I think Landry's got that one. But again, if you're looking for, here's one of the things that really helps ratings at Disney World restaurants. Sitting down inside in air conditioning. I cannot stress enough how wonderful that is. And if you've got good customer service, you've got some good food there, even better. But there's a reason why table service restaurants at Disney World book up so quickly, because they are really a wonderful little break to take in the middle of the day, even not considering the food. And I've heard good things about the Yak and Yeti as well.
Well, they've got Yak and Yeti, and I've been there a couple times, and I like it. I didn't expect to see it on a top 10 list. And Satuli Canteen, okay. But isn't there another really, really good restaurant there that you guys at Theme Park Insider talk about? It's at Teppan's or?
Okay, if I'm going anywhere at Animal Kingdom, if I can get into it, it's going to be Tiffin's. That I think is the best. I think that's one of the best restaurants at the Walt Disney World Resort. It is absolutely wonderful. It's kind of Imagineering's love letter to itself in a certain way, because you can see a lot of the photos and art that Imagineers have collected while they were doing the research for Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. So if you are a real theme park insider like me and you're interested in how was all of this stuff created, Tiffin's is just a wonderful curated experience to go in and just walk around, much less the food, which is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, among my favorite at Disney World. So I would have had that way up on the top, near the top of my list.
I've never been, but I spent enough time on your site to know that is atop of a lot of people's list. All right, the top three here. Aunt Granny's Restaurant at Dollywood. You're a big Dollywood fan. Cannot
complain about that.
Number 2 is the Chocolatier at Hershey Park. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Hershey Park.
Okay. That's another one that I think is it technically outside of the park? It's right there at the new park entrance that they did. And obviously Hershey, this is a park about food, so you better expect that they'd have a decent restaurant at it. I have not eaten at the Chocolatier since they redid it. I ate at the previous version of it. I thought this was a really solid theme park restaurant, but they improved it and took it up a little notch. So I'm curious to get back out there and see just how much they improved it over the previous incarnation of the entry theme park, of the entry restaurant at the theme park that they had there before.
I love the fact you guys heard Robert say this earlier, but I'll reiterate this. I ambushed Robert with this today, and the fact that you can go on and on about this stuff never ceases to amaze me, Robert. It is clearly you don't like your job at all. All right,
absolutely not at all.
Number 1 on this list, out of all the places in the United States, the Alamo at Nobles, Ellisburg, Pennsylvania.
Wow. Okay. That's not out of left field. That's not out of the left field bleachers. That's out of the bar behind the left field bleachers across the street from the stadium. It's like someone got up from Murph's Bleacher Bar and just came in on that.
You think there might have been some paid PR behind that one?
Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you what. That park has got one of the most loyal fan bases out there. And, if there's anything that's going to have reader input, they're going to turn out for it because they love that park. And when people love that park like that, that's something, hey, maybe you should go check out at some point. So I got another one on my list, to-do list for this year and maybe next.
That's fabulous. And by the way, when you talk about loyalty, there's 2 other parks that one you mentioned earlier, one you haven't mentioned yet, which have huge loyalty. And if you're anywhere near them, I know our stackers have loved when you talked about this park. Holiday World,
Holiday World and Splash and Safari, Santa Claus, Indiana. They've got
huge loyal theme base.
They've got a new family coaster this year called Good Gravy. It's a Vekoma family boomerang coaster. It's themed to Thanksgiving. So you walk into grandma's living room. They put you on a roller coaster that looks like a gravy boat, and they send you out into the yard where you go like through empty cranberry cans and stuff. We had a great video that we posted on the website. They did a test. When you're testing water coasters, you put like water dummies and things on there. They put a whole bunch of plush turkeys on for their test. So it's just all of these plushed, which I guess you could call stuffed turkeys.
But hold on a second.
This roller coaster, just like, it's absolutely hilarious. I love it. That park has got such a wonderful sense of humor. Just highly recommend. Take I-64 west of Louisville when you get the opportunity and go visit Holiday World.
I still got to go. My cousin went. We had so many stackers go after you mentioned it the first time, and everyone came back with these rave reviews. And the last one, and you brought up this park the last couple of years, and whenever I mention it to anybody, and I've never been to this one either, everybody just goes, "Oh, I love it so much." Silver City.
Silver Dollar City. I actually got out there earlier this year. Another great new attraction they've got there, Fire in the Hole, which you're like, wait a minute, I know they've had Fire in the Hole for years. That's the old Fire in the Hole. This is the new Fire in the Hole.
In the new hole.
The old one was in a little kind of rickety building. They went and built this huge new, brand spanking new building on the other side of the park. It's Rocky Mountain construction. If you know roller coasters, you know how good they do. This is their first indoor roller coaster. And they've taken what was the whole Fire in the Hole story and just done it with this brand new coaster track. They saved some of the show elements from the old one, but they've improved it greatly. It is an amazing dark ride. I mean, you think about dark rides, you think about Disney, you think about Universal. Silver Dollar City with Fire in the Hole has got one of the best dark rides in the country right now, and something that I think is well worth visiting. And then just the hospitality that you have. It's in Branson, Missouri, run by Hershen, same folks who do Dollywood. Amazing food all throughout the park. The skillets they have, the cinnamon bread is amazing. And just some wonderful roller coasters that they have there as well. Time Traveler, it's a mock ride, spinning coaster that opened a few years ago. Just amazing theming that they've done on that. Of all the parks in the country outside of Disney and Universal, if you're looking for what I think is probably the best, and frankly, better than some Disney and Universal parks, Silver Dollar City is definitely in that conversation.
Oh, we're going to have so many links to this website I know about called Theme Park Insider with all this stuff. And you're always doing new things, but I think people need to come and join the community, Robert. If this touches absolutely. You, come join your community.
Yeah, I mean, we've got news coming up every single day of the year about theme parks. We've got a page that's listing what's new and under construction in theme parks, major theme parks all around the world. We've got year-by-year lists of everything that did open, so you can see all of the reviews and videos that we've done for stuff that's opened in 2024 so far, and we'll be updating that throughout the year. And go back year by year, what opened last year, what year before that, pretty much all this century, we've got that. So wonderful resource if you just want to sample around and see what's out there. And then we've got links to discount tickets for a lot of attractions, not just in the United States, but around the world. So you can save yourself a little bit of money while supporting our site as well. And just wonderful planning resources. And if you've got a question, hop on our discussion forum and we'll be happy to answer them for you as well.
And not just you guys, but the people in your community so helpful, like people helping each other.
I've tried very hard, and I so appreciate all the people who've been part of the Theme Park Insider community. There are so many toxic fan bases out there that we've worked really hard to make this a welcoming and helpful fan base that we've got, at least on the Theme Park Insider website. Now, we'll have some fun and do some sarcastic stuff now and then, if you know me. But for the most part, it's just I have such respect for people who do this work, who create these wonderful experiences for all of us, that I want to cultivate that respect among the fan base as well. And then that becomes respect for each other in the fan base. So that's really what we're trying to do with Theme Park Insider, is to be a welcoming place for people who love this stuff and people who produce this stuff to get together, celebrate it all, find ways that we can experience it and experience in a way that just makes us feel better about the whole process.
We'll link to the site. We'll link to some of the exciting videos that you've done of these coasters, you and your band of merry people that go around getting this wonderful footage so people know what they're getting into. Thank you for helping us make summer fun again, Robert. I appreciate your mentorship every year you come on, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.